I don't know if you can see the police officer's car behind me, but I was sitting in the park just now. He came up behind me, he parked behind me, and then he came out of his car and came to the passenger window. And then what happened next was truly unbelievable.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Today's March 30th, and something really interesting happened to me today. I got pulled over while I was pulled over. So I pulled my car over to use my phone, so I stopped at this park and I parked. All of a sudden, I see a police officer coming right behind me. I'm like, here we go. My car is facing forward like this. He comes behind me and blocks me like that. And I was just like, okay. Immediately, I turn off the car, I roll down the window, and he gets out of the car. He starts walking towards me, and I say, hey, I'm just using my phone. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know. It's just so you know, I come up to everybody. I'm like, I'm sure you come up to everybody. And he goes, it's like, you look real familiar. Have I seen you before? I'm like, no, I've only gotten pulled over maybe one time, and that was a woman. So during this time, he has not asked me for my license. He has not asked me for proof of insurance. He has not asked to see my registration. So I tell him I'm making a YouTube vlog. So then he starts telling me about the area and things to be aware of. And I started to try to make a little bit of conversation with him about his job, because the last thing I wanted was for him to just bother me. You know, I just didn't need that. He ends up telling me that he was in the military for 20 years. And I said, oh, my brother's in the military right now. He started telling me that he had been to Iraq. He'd been in the military for 20 years. I started asking him about his time in the military and whether or not he was ever afraid. And he said something really interesting. One thing that he did was to wake up every morning and make his bed right away. He said, if I got up in the morning, I could make my bed, brush my teeth, and shave. He said, I knew I was taking control over the things I had control of. Eventually, he made it back home. I told him that I was really impressed by that mindset, and that I often have anxiety and I deal with stress all the time. He started giving me advice. What he said was, don't think about the big picture. Think about the small picture, the little thing right in front of you, and do that. And before you know it, you'll have done so many little things that the big picture will happen. And I was like, because I'm like, here's this police officer, pulls me over while I'm pulled over, comes up to me, I'm expecting he's gonna harass me, and this guy is giving me life advice and inspiration and motivation, and we had to talk for at least a good 45 minutes to an hour. He introduced himself to me as Chris. He got a call on his walkie-talkie, and then he had to break out. And I just thought that was so crazy. Like, here we are freaking out about our little to-do list, you know, and there are people in the world who their job is literally to carry a rifle and defend something. They're in the line of fire. They are risking life and limb, and that's every day for them. In this country, we have an opportunity to do something, and you got one life. There are people overseas who are dying and fighting for you to have that right to do what you want to do with your one life. Is what you want to do with your one life to go to a job that you hate, drive a car that you hate, and live in a house that you hate, and the only way that you can stand to stomach all of this is to go out and get drunk every other weekend? Or do you want to do something with your life that makes you happy, but scares you, but also has the potential to fulfill you beyond your wildest dreams? So you have to choose. Am I going to let my time, my one life, the one time that I'm 25, the one chance you get to be 20, 25, 30, 35, or 40 years old, or whatever age you are you going to let that go to waste? Or are you going to step out of your comfort zone and do something that requires bravery for a good cause? So whatever it is that you're passionate about, maybe it's not the big picture like Chris was saying. Maybe it's just the small thing in front of you. Maybe it's just getting up and going to the gym. Maybe it's getting up and applying for school and enrolling back into school and finishing. If the soldiers, they deal with that stress of being in the line of fire as their daily job, can't you do your job? Whatever it is that's out there that you want to do, go take the first step. Put the clothes on, go to the gym and see what happens. You might surprise yourself. So I just want to give a shout out to all my military family and all the hardworking police officers out there doing a hard job. I know it's not easy, and I know you guys take a lot of shit for it, but At the end of the day, we know that your job is hard. A special thank you for Chris for that motivation and inspiration. And that's it, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.